I'm Zephyr, and I'm grateful for the cooler nights. So today I'm going to talk about Figure 4 deadfall traps. Figure 4 deadfall trap is a deadfall trap, that is to say a trap that relies on something very heavy squashing the potential prey, using 3 sticks that, when assembled, look kind of like the number 4. This is a very good primitive survival trap that you can make with minimal tools. I'm using a knife today, but you can make this without any tools whatsoever. The advantage of it, of course, is that you don't need any other materials except for sticks and a big heavy rod. In theory, what happens when it gets set off is some little critter comes to some bait that you have stuck on the end of a trigger stick and interacts and squash. Now here's how to make one. So first you're going to take 2 sticks. I'm going to use my previous sticks as a guide, but it's about, 4 or 5 inches long. Make 2 sticks that are pretty identical. The only thing that matters is they should be relatively straight. Okay, 2 sticks of about the same length. Now 1 stick that's a bit longer. So I'm not going to bother cutting this. Break it there, and break it right where it curves. There we go. This is going to be my trigger stick. First we're going to carve the post. The post has 2 elements to it. The top is wedged. Get up close and see that. There's a wedge to it, and around the middle you have this little square taken out. So, first the wedge. Wedge carved. Now for the little rectangle, that needs to be perpendicular to the wedge. So if you look up close, you've got your rectangle here, and then the wedge is at a complete different angle. So you need to make sure that your wedge is going this way, the flat edge, and your rectangle is going this way for the flat edge. Rectangle is going to be roughly in the center of the post, if anything a little bit below center, but not by much, about the center. And to carve that, you're going to place it on a hard surface, and you're going to push down hard and kind of rock your knife back and forth, make an indent. Then you're going to do the exact same thing, about 1.5 centimeters or less next to it, so that you've got 2 marks that look like that. Do that for a little bit until they get deeper. You're trying to get maybe 1/3 deep into the stick. Then you're going to go in one of the little cuts that you just made, put your knife in, and rotate it towards the other cut, and you should have a piece split off pretty neatly, so that you start making your little rectangle there. You may have to go back and forth on this, on those 2 steps, a few times to get the depth you need. And there we go. Got my rectangle cut out. So that's the post done. Set that aside. Now, I'm going to make the kind of balance stick, I guess you could call it. First thing you're going to do is put a wedge on either end, and those wedges should be going the same direction. So if one's flat side is this way, the same should be on the bottom. There we go. 2 wedges made. Second step for the balance stick is the notch. This one got a little bit messed up while I was using it, so it's not a great example. So I'm going to just have to show you. So you're going to push down right around there next to one of the wedges in order to make the first cut of your notch. Once you got a nice deepish cut, you're going to add an angle, cut towards it. You do not pass that line that you just carved straight in. You may have to go back and forth a little bit. There we go. So that is what that notch should look like. As you can see, it goes straight up and down on one side, and then it's at an angle the other. You can go ahead and match it to your post and see if that's a match. And yeah, fits pretty neatly together. So lastly, our trigger stick. It's our nice, slightly longer stick here. No wedges necessary on this. You're gonna need a notch and another rectangle. So first, you're gonna kind of check on the sticks that you already have for a match. And by match, I just mean like you're gonna measure it out. So this gives me an idea of where I'm gonna carve my notch and where I'm gonna carve my little rectangle bit. So first I'm gonna mark the rectangle bit. I'm gonna just keep it there. I'm gonna put 2 knife lines on either side. Okay, got my marks there. And then for the notch, you want it to be at kind of you want to make a right triangle out of them. So the notch, you make a mark as well. So now I know roughly where to carve. You can carve that rectangle the exact same way that you carved it on the other stick. Be mindful, your trigger stick should be a little bit thinner than your other sticks, and so you can't go quite as deep as you can with your other sticks. Alright, check if that matches up. Yeah, it matches up pretty well. I'm actually going to widen the rectangle on here just a teeny bit. It's actually good for them to have just a teeny bit of wiggle room in there. Good, it matches. Alright, so now my notch. This is going to be the same way you carve the notch on your balancing stick. You're going to carve on your trigger stick. So you want the furthest away cut to be the straight down one, and you want that to be at a perpendicular angle to your rectangle. If these 2 sticks go together like this, so you've got your rectangle here, then the notch has to be carved this angle, even though the rectangle is at this angle. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, now I see if it's all a match. Okay, and it almost is. But this wedge's slope is too steep for the notch on my trigger stick, so I'm just gonna carve a slightly shallower angle on the balance stick wedge. You can test if everything fits together tightly enough by putting downward pressure on the very top wedge of the balance stick. And if putting a little bit of downward pressure there keeps everything together, then everything fits correctly. What I'm noticing here is that the wedge on the bottom of my balance stick is a little bit off, so I'm going to adjust it. For setting up your figure 4 trap, you're going to get your 3 sticks. Just grab your balance stick and your post first. You want to have it set up on something hard, because when the deadfall part falls, you want it to be on a hard surface. You would not want anything that you were to catch with one of these to have to suffer in any way. So you want it to be a clean death. The balance, that post should be as straight up and down as you can make it. Once you've got those sort of in place, you're going to get your trigger stick and finagle that however you need to get it to line up with the other 2 sticks. Watch your fingers while you do this, as there is a very real risk of the rock coming down and squashing them while you try to set up your trap. Okay, don't breathe too hard or else it might fall over. That's how you get it set up. As you can tell, it's It's a lot of finagling, it's a lot of very little adjustments until you finally get it so that it is stable enough that it's not just about to fall over no matter what, but it will always be precarious enough that if something comes and tugs on that trigger stick because you have some food on there, then this whole thing is going to come tumbling down. There you have it. And that is how to make and set up a figure 4 deadfall trap.